With the list of over 30 collaborations and endorsement contracts with reputable brands in various fields, it's not an exaggeration at all to say NewJeans is the new phenomenon of K-pop. However, it is also for this lightning speed development that the group, and ADOR to be more exact, starts to raise speculation about using money to buy their way up rather than using real talents. First is the allegation regarding NewJeans' members respectively becoming ambassadors of different luxury brands. While the accusation of ADOR's using their money to get NewJeans the ambassador titles has been circulating the internet for months, it has only peaked when Danielle was chosen as the dubbing voice for Ariel in the live action of The Little Mermaid. According to netizens, there are two main reasons making Danielle the total unfit for the role: her odd pronunciation and vocal capability, and her noticeable lacking competence, compared to Lapalis's Shanti, who has long proven herself a perfect fit for this role.
She's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's-its and what's-its galore.
Since the crucial criteria of being a qualified dubber for The Little Mermaid, a movie placing a huge emphasis on the main character's singing capability, are having standard pronunciation and professionally trained vocals, many believe Danielle shouldn't have been chosen because she failed at both criterias. Born and brought up in Australia, Danielle's pronunciation has a strong R and a frequent inflection at the end of sentences, which frequently makes them all sound like questions. As this way of pronouncing has been part of Danielle, it later gets transferred to the way she speaks Korean, making her voice oddly high-pitched and badly out of sync with the standard Korean pronunciation. The criticism was so heavy that on the coup, there is an extremely long thread dedicated only to bashing Danielle's being the dubber for The Little Mermaid. The more netizens looked at her, the more they felt like the whole thing was a total ripoff for professional dubbers. The credibility of Disney Korea was also brought into question, as never once have netizens thought they would join hands with ADOR to choose Danielle solely for her great influence on young audiences and overlooked her questionable capabilities. If Disney had really needed a Gen 4 idol for this role rather than a professionally trained voice actor, many believe they could have gone for Lapalis's Shanti, who not only has proven her powerful vocal capability, but also has a Disney-esque visual. Vocal-wise, Shanti was said to have a powerful and crystal-clear tone, and in the cover of Part of Your World, her belting and high-note techniques were also highly regarded, as they sounded natural and hypnotic.
Up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world.
Appearance-wise, the biracial beauty harmoniously blending the best features of the West and the East made her even more of a perfect fit for a Western-based movie entering the Asian market. Putting Danielle's performance on the scale with Shanti's, her lack stood out even more as her vocal was too thin and high notes were too strained. Her techniques in processing the song were also said to be on the amateur level, altogether consolidating the accusation of ADOR's using the backdoor to get her this position, especially when listening to the last high part where Danielle had to belt for the high notes. Some believed Disney must have used software to extend her vibration and breath control, as they were too weak.
놈은 인간이야. 너는 인어고.
그렇다고 우리가 적은 아니에요.
The accusation about ADOR's using money to seal the deal with Disney and steal the spot that was supposed to belong to Shanti was so severe that Disney had to step in and speak up on the same announcement day, explaining that the company completely based their decision on fair judgment. After rounds of random testing for Danielle's vocal, they believe she was the perfect fit for Ariel. Personally, I take side with Disney this time and also think netizens are wrongly bashing Danielle because 1, she has proven herself a competent vocalist through the fact that she was chosen to cover Into the New World cover with recognized K-pop vocalists VVG's Yoonha, Yena, and WJ Essence Yeonjung. Besides, she is seemingly only caught up in this allegation as people have already held unfavorable impressions toward NewJeans regarding their ambassador titles and their record achievements on Spotify. So, what's with their previous collaboration that got on people's nerves so much? According to netizens, Danielle's latest contract with Disney Korea was just the last straw, leading to explosively negative reactions toward ADOR. Actually, they're calling the company the dealer goddess had more to do with the NewJeans ambassador title incidents, as well as their performances on Spotify. Regarding the ambassador titles of the members, many believe this was just a result of ADOR's money to give their artists unfair advantages because NewJeans' mismatched energy with the brands they ambassador was too apparent. For example, when Hidden was assigned to be the global ambassador for Dior, she clashed with the backlash since netizens believe she didn't give off the signature elegant Dior vibe. She was even said to look unbearably try-hard as her naive teenage face gave off the feeling of a kid putting on her mother's clothes to attend an event, also exclusive to adults. However, the biggest reason making netizens believe Hidden's title was the result of ADOR's masterful dealing skills still came down to how Dior briefly took down the tweet announcing her house ambassador title after 1 day of posting. That was not to mention how she was only referred to as the Dior house ambassador, but on NewJeans' Instagram, ADOR straight up called Hidden the brand's global ambassador, ironically turning their own artist into the bullseye of criticism. Under their post on Instagram, tons of people flocked in just to demand clarification on why there was a difference between ADOR and Dior's announcements. Those who had had enough of ADOR's alleged manipulative acts even asked the company to stop attaching the global designation in Hidden's title because it denoted the significance of the real title as well as the values of those who held it. On Hidden's birthday, the fact that she only received a bouquet with no handwritten letter from Dior also consolidated the alleged attempt of ADOR to buy the title for Hidden. This is ironically also the case the other 3 members have been facing. And according to netizens, if that didn't perfectly justify the reason ADOR was dubbed the dealer goddess of K-pop, then they wouldn't know what would. For example, when ADOR shared that Minji had become the newest brand ambassador of Chanel for 3 categories, fashion, beauty, and jewelry, it turned out that she only held this title for Chanel Korea, which explained why Chanel made no official announcements about this on their social platforms. Similar to the poor treatment of Dior to Hidden on her birthday, the way Minji was treated by Chanel on this special occasion also made people confused. The bunny balloons the brand sent to Minji were also deflating, and regarding the cakes, many said they looked like being randomly bought at the last minute. Danielle's relationship with Burberry was even more confusing, as despite ADOR's announcement on Instagram that she was the newest global ambassador, Burberry didn't say a word about this. When the brand held their Autumn-Winter 2023 show at London Fashion Week, Danielle was not only absent but also remained silent about this important event. The meager bouquet sent to Danielle on her birthday was believed to be another sign of Burberry's not bothering to recognize her as part of their family. The treatments of Gucci for Honey and Louis Vuitton for Hain were a little better, but it's still hard to deny they were too young to take on such important titles. That's why whenever the girls put on designer items, netizens said they would always look like forcing on their mother's clothes, just to satisfy the obsession with luxurious items. NewJeans' achievements music-wise have also gained bad attention, after netizens gathered evidence pointing at ADOR's manipulative acts in promoting the act. Things all started after people noticed that on Music Bank, NewJeans, an act whose album sales amounted to over 700K, had 1,000 times lower fan vote points than a group that only sold 120K copies. On MooBeat, the number of votes for NewJeans when it came to reputation coverage of K-pop female acts was also unusually low, making them have even lower ranks than Kepler, ITZY, and NMIX. However, in Spotify, their release Ditto was said to break records here and there, hitting over 1.9 million accumulated streams on the debut day, quickly rocketing to over 300 million streams just after the 4th month, and even beating Blackpink's Ice Cream to become the most listened song of K-pop girl group in US Spotify. This prompted eagle-eyed netizens to roll up their sleeves to find out the truth, and in no time, it was revealed that to push Ditto, ADOR had bought over 500 playlists to increase the playlist reach of Ditto, helping it reach 76 million discoveries within 15 days only. FYI, playlist reach is the total number of followers of all playlists featuring a song from that artist. So, for example, if an artist was added to 10 playlists, and each playlist had 100,000 followers, then the total playlist reach would be 1 million. There was also solid evidence about ADOR's manipulative act, as whenever a song finished playing, the next would somehow be NewJeans' Ditto. Since this marketing technique was rather new, it was first said to only be a malicious rumor by anti-fans. However, a Spotify later confirmed artists could pay to leverage their discovery mode, which was exactly what ADOR used for Ditto. It turns out that the rumor was true. After doing tons of research for this video, I've realized that while netizens had their valid points, to say ADOR and NewJeans are the dealer goddesses of K-pop, I personally don't think the group's reputation is that big of a bubble. And in both domestic and foreign markets, they are still the public's pinks regardless of what anti-fans say. Sure thing that there must have been something fishy about the ambassador titles, because most of the time only ADOR made the announcements, while the partnered brands remained silent from start to finish. However, it was extremely nonsense to use this as the main reason for saying NewJeans' reputation was the result of manipulation, as in the largest streaming platform of China, QQ Music, NewJeans was also the only K-pop act to enter the top 10 most famous artists in 2023's first quarter. While Ditto managed to have such great streamings, thanks to playlist reach purchased by ADOR, there was no proof about the company doing the same for Hype Boy. However, this song still secured its spot on Global 200 of Billboard in 36 consecutive weeks. And if this wasn't the obvious sign of NewJeans' massive influence, then I don't know what would. On all big social platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, the most followed accounts are all those of NewJeans, and even on Melon Weekly, NewJeans is also the only Gen 4 act to enter the top 5. Even Zero, their song to promote Coke Zero, also struck impressive achievements. A song with the highest number of unique listeners in the first 24 hours in Melon 2023. A song with the highest debut rank on Melon Daily Chart until now and on Spotify. Zero also debuted 6th on the Daily Music Chart of Korean Spotify, altogether proving how NewJeans is the legit public's pick. Besides, while I admit that the ambassador title's controversy was something worth the discussion, it still makes no sense to accuse NewJeans of faking their entire reputation solely based on this incident. Still, I'm curious as to what you think, so let's share your thoughts in the comments section below.